Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at box plots again, but we're going to look at the second type of box plot. And it turns out you do it exactly the same way. You go to Stat and Edit and put the data in. I did put a couple new points in though. I put in here 358, 212, and minus 155. Those are values that are very much larger or smaller than the rest of the data set, and we'll see in just a second. So I'm going to quit here. I go to Stat Plot again. Everything else is the same. I want this on. The only difference is in rather than choosing the fifth one, I'm going to choose the fourth one. If you notice, there's just a slight difference when you look at the symbols. And I'm going to use the same value here and the same mark. And so I'm ready to graph it. You can hit graph and then zoom 9. And if you notice, what's different about this is it has the initial part of the graph all the same, right? Where you can read off the minimum, the 25th, 50th, and 75th, and maximum, except for you have these extra dots out here. So what this box plot does, let's zoom in a minute so you can see that better. What this box plot does here is it takes values which are defined as outliers according to a certain rule, and it doesn't include it on the box plot itself. So for the purposes of the central part of the box plot, these 3 points are excluded from the data. However, they're still plotted on the graph itself by points wherever they happen to be. And let's go ahead and go to trace and see what we get here. This first one says x is 12. No, let's see, minimum x, negative 155. Then you go to 12, 25, 45, 99, 150. So it gives you the 5 values which are minimum, 25th percentile, 50th, 75th percentile, and maximum, excluding these points, and then it includes the points as well. So this is your first outlier, which is minus 155. This is your next outlier, which is a positive 212 and a positive 358. Now, which was better? Which one's worse? There's not really a better or worse here. There's just 2 different ways to graph it. So let's go ahead and zoom back out a second and describe it a little more. So what we have is we have one graph that looks like this. And what the key point here is according to this graph, it uses all the values, right? So this is the minimum value, period. The other form might look something like this, but then it might have values out here. So this value would be the minimum excluding outliers, and then it has the outliers graphed separately. Just 2 different ways of doing the same problem.